Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be looking at the Tyrannosaurus Rex, but not the monster movie version we're all used to.
Exactly. We're going to be looking at all the new research and insights from the Prehistoric Planet documentary.
So get ready to have your image of this prehistoric celebrity totally transformed. I mean, you pictured T-Rex with jagged teeth and scaly skin, right?
Probably like most people.
But get this. What if I told you that T-Rex might have had lips?
Lips.
Yeah, lips. Not those exposed teeth that we see in all the movies.
Wow, that's not what I was picturing.
I know, right? It really changes the whole look.
But seriously, what's the evidence for that?
Well, scientists have actually found some pretty compelling clues.
Like what?
For one thing, they've found tiny holes in T-Rex jawbones. And guess what?
I don't know what.
Similar holes are found in animals that have lips, like crocodiles.
Oh, interesting. So, like, those holes provide evidence that there was soft tissue covering their teeth?
Exactly. And not only that, they've even found a fossilized soft tissue remnant on a related dinosaur skull.
Wow, so they're like ancient lip prints.
Pretty much. It really supports the idea that T-Rex might have had lips after all. I know, it's a big change from what we're used to.
Yeah, but it makes sense. Think about it. Exposed teeth are vulnerable to damage and could dry out.
Right, like crocodile lips help protect their teeth. So maybe T-Rex needed that protection too. It's a wild thought, isn't it?
Totally. Okay, but what about feathers? Because the documentary shows young T-Rex with a fluffy coat of feathers, and adults are mostly scaly. What's that all about?
Yeah, that's another big debate in the world of paleontology. So while we haven't found direct evidence of feathers on T-Rex fossils themselves,
Okay.
some of their relatives like Utyrannus and DeLong definitely had feathers.
Oh, wow. So that means it's possible, right? Like maybe baby T-Rex had a downy coat for insulation.
Exactly. Just like baby birds today.
That makes sense. So why would they lose them as they got older?
Well, think about it. An adult T-Rex is massive,
Oh, yeah. Huge.
and they're generating a lot of body heat already.
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
If they had a full coat of feathers on top of that, under the prehistoric sun.
They'd overheat.
Exactly.
So it's like they traded in their winter coat for a summer tank top. I love that analogy.
It makes it easier to understand, right?
Mhm.
But it also shows us how scientists use logic and comparisons to figure these things out.
For sure. They're like detectives piecing together clues from millions of years ago.
Exactly. Okay, speaking of clues and mysteries, remember that whole thing in Jurassic Park about T-Rex only being able to see moving objects?
Oh, yeah. That was classic.
It was pretty scary at the time, but was it true?
Well, thankfully, no. T-Rex actually had excellent vision. They even had binocular vision, just like us.
Really?
Yeah. Research using skull models has shown that they had a binocular vision field of about 50 degrees.
Wait, back up for a second. What exactly does binocular vision mean?
Binocular vision is basically when both eyes face forward, allowing their fields of view to overlap. And that overlap is what gives depth perception, or the ability to judge distances accurately.
Oh, I see. So basically, T-Rex could see clearly and judge distances really well.
Exactly. And that makes sense for a predator, right? They need to be able to accurately judge the distance to their prey.
No more blindly stumbling T-Rex. They were sharp-eyed and ready to pounce.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about their teeth, feathers, and vision, but what about those legs? They always look so tiny compared to their massive bodies.
They do, don't they? And in the documentary, they show T-Rex with more bird-like feet. What's up with that?
You're onto something really interesting there. Remember, birds are descendants of dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it's not surprising to see some similarities.
Okay, that makes sense.
Fossil footprints and comparisons to modern birds suggest that T-Rex had feet similar to, well, large ground-dwelling birds, strong, covered in scales, and with those grasping claws.
So they weren't just these big, lumbering giants.
Nope, they had some speed and agility, and get this, juvenile T-Rex had proportionally longer legs than adults.
So they were even faster.
Exactly. Imagine these young T-Rex darting through the prehistoric landscape, chasing after smaller prey.
Wow, that really changes our image of them.
It does, doesn't it? Okay, one last thing before we move on. Let's talk about family life. The documentary shows a family group, and it made me wonder, were T-Rex actually social creatures?
That's a great question, and one that's still being debated by paleontologists. We know some dinosaurs likely lived in groups, but were they true family units or just temporary alliances?
Exactly. It's a tough question to answer definitively, but there is some interesting evidence that might shed some light on their social behavior.
What kind of evidence?
Well, there's a close relative of T-Rex called Displetosaurus horneri.
Tyrannosaurus horneri.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting about this species? They had a snout covered in small bumps and holes, very similar to crocodiles today.
Hmm. A bumpy snout. What would they need that for?
Well, those bumps and holes suggest a highly sensitive snout. Think about how crocodiles use their snouts.
Yeah, to detect vibrations in the water, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even to engage in those courtship displays.
So are you suggesting that Daspletosaurus and maybe even T-Rex used their sensitive snouts for similar things?
It's definitely a possibility. It could mean they were communicating with each other, maybe even engaging in their own courtship rituals.
Wow, so T-Rex might not have been the solitary monster we thought after all.
Maybe not. Maybe they had complex social lives and family bonds.
It's incredible to think about how much we're still learning about these creatures.
It really is. And each new discovery opens up even more questions and possibilities. We're constantly refining our understanding of the past, and T-Rex is a perfect example of that.
I love how you put that. It's not just about finding answers. It's about embracing the mystery and the constant evolution of knowledge. This deep dive has already been packed with surprises.
Totally. And we're just getting started. We've got even more fascinating T-Rex insights to explore, so stay with us.
Welcome back to our deep dive on Tyrannosaurus Rex. I don't know about you, but I'm still reeling from all those surprising discoveries.
Me too. It's amazing how much our view of T-Rex has changed, right?
Totally. But there's one more thing I think we really need to talk about.
Oh, and what's that?
Their bite force.
Ah, yes. The legendary bite of T-Rex. I mean, just imagine the power behind those jaws.
It's mind-boggling. Do we know how strong their bite actually was?
Well, scientists have done a lot of research on this, using those incredible fossil skulls and teeth to estimate their bite force.
So what did they find out?
It's pretty incredible, actually. The estimates suggest that T-Rex had a bite force of around 8,000 pounds per square inch.
8,000 pounds. Wow, that's like, I don't even know what to compare that to.
It's hard to grasp, isn't it? Think about it this way. It's like having 3 cars stacked on top of you.
3 cars. Okay, yeah, that definitely puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
No wonder they were at the top of the food chain.
But it wasn't just about brute force either. Their teeth were specially designed for this kind of power.
Oh yeah, their teeth were like massive daggers. But how could they handle that kind of pressure without breaking?
Well, their teeth were incredibly strong, for one thing.
I mean, yeah, they had to be.
But what's really fascinating is how deeply rooted those teeth were in their jawbone. Like they had this super strong foundation to withstand those massive forces.
Oh, I see. So it's like their teeth were anchored in place to prevent them from shattering.
Exactly. And to add to that, they had a thick layer of enamel coating their teeth. It's like nature's ultimate armor plating.
So they had these incredibly sharp, deeply rooted teeth covered in thick enamel.
All working together to make T-Rex the ultimate biting machine.
It's just incredible how all these features work together, isn't it?
It really is. It's like every part of their anatomy was perfectly adapted for their role as an apex predator.
It makes you wonder how a creature with that much power impacted the world around them, you know? Like, what was their role in the ecosystem?
That's a great question, and it's one that scientists have been exploring for a long time.
Any theories?
Well, as apex predators, T-Rex played a critical role in keeping populations of other animals in check. Think of it like a delicate balance.
I see. Like, if there were too many herbivores, they could overgraze and damage the environment.
Exactly. So, in a way, T-Rex helped maintain the health and stability of the entire ecosystem.
Wow, so even though they were fearsome predators, they actually played a vital role in the overall balance of their world.
Isn't that fascinating? It shows how interconnected everything is in nature, even these seemingly terrifying creatures.
It really does. You know, we've talked a lot about the physical aspects of T-Rex, but I'm curious about their social behavior. I mean, did they live in groups or were they solitary creatures?
That's a question that has sparked a lot of debate among paleontologists. For a long time, we pictured T-Rex as these lone wolves roaming their territories in search of prey.
Yeah, that's kind of the classic image, isn't it?
Mm.
But the documentary showed a T-Rex family group.
Yeah.
So is there evidence to support the idea that they were more social than we thought?
There's definitely some intriguing evidence emerging. Remember we talked about Daspletosaurus horneri earlier?
Oh yeah, the one with the bumpy snout?
Exactly. Those bumps and holes on their snouts suggest they had a highly sensitive sense of touch.
And that could mean.
Well, if you think about crocodiles, they use their sensitive snouts for all sorts of social interactions, like sensing vibrations in the water to communicate with each other, or even engaging in courtship displays by rubbing their snouts together.
So are you saying that Daspletosaurus and maybe even T-Rex might have used their snouts for similar purposes?
It's a fascinating possibility, isn't it? It could mean they were more social and communicative than we previously imagined.
Wow, so maybe T-Rex wasn't just a solitary hunter after all. Maybe they had complex social lives and interacted with each other in all sorts of ways.
That's what's so exciting about paleontology. We're constantly learning new things and challenging our old assumptions.
Yeah.
Every new discovery opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
I love that. It's like we're piecing together a giant puzzle, and each new piece reveals a little bit more about these incredible creatures.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's one final piece of the puzzle that I think we need to discuss. It's something that might completely change our view of baby T-Rex.
Oh, now you've got me intrigued. What is it?
All right, so we've uncovered all these incredible insights about T-Rex, but for this last part, we're going to explore something truly mind-blowing. Get ready for this. What if baby T-Rex, those little hatchlings, were actually covered in feathers?
And not just any feathers.
Yeah.
We're talking colorful patterned feathers.
Colorful patterned feathers on a T-Rex. That's not the image I had in my head.
I know, right? It's definitely a far cry from those scaly reptilian giants we usually picture.
So how did scientists even come up with this idea? What's the evidence?
Well, remember how we talked about feathers being important for insulation, especially for younger dinosaurs?
Yeah, to help them regulate their body temperature.
Exactly. But some scientists believe that these feathers weren't just for warmth. They might have also been adorned with vibrant colors and patterns.
Wow, so instead of these mini, fierce-looking T-Rex, we might have had these fluffy patterned chicks running around. But why the patterns? What purpose would they serve?
Well, think about animals today. A lot of young creatures have patterns or markings that serve important purposes.
Like camouflage, right?
Exactly. A spotted or striped coat can help a young animal blend into its surroundings, making it harder for predators to see them.
So those colorful feathers could have helped baby T-Rex hide from danger, even from other T-Rex.
It's like their own little prehistoric camouflage suit.
Pretty clever, right?
Definitely. And camouflage isn't the only possibility. Those patterns could have also been used for communication or species recognition.
You mean like helping them identify each other or signal to their parent?
Exactly. So these patterns might have played a role in their social development, too.
It's amazing how these little details can change our whole understanding of a creature.
I know. It really challenges our assumptions about T-Rex, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, we've gone from picturing them as these solitary monsters to understanding that they might have had complex social lives, cared for their young, maybe even sported colorful feathers. It's incredible how much our knowledge of dinosaurs has evolved.
It really is a testament to the power of scientific inquiry. And who knows what other amazing discoveries are waiting for us out there.
That's the beauty of it all, isn't it? There's always more to learn. Well, that wraps up our deep dive on the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as we have.
It's been a fascinating exploration.
To all our listeners, keep that curiosity alive. The world of dinosaurs is full of wonder, and there's still so much more to uncover. Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.